Hey guys, I haven't done a video in a while, so I figured I'd come on. I couldn't come on yesterday, and I'll explain why. Have I ever showed you this? Like, have you ever seen it? This is an earlier tattoo. It's "Don't Tread on Me" snake with wrapped around an AK. I might have referenced it before, but I've never actually addressed it. That's what it is. That's who I was. That's who I still am. Don't tread on me. Speaking of tread on me, I wanted to talk about Alex Pretti because I wasn't able to come on yesterday because the narc was here all day. Of course, I find out about killing early in the morning, and he's just a bump on a fucking concrete log out there. I couldn't record anything, so I wasn't able to talk about it until now. He was a hero. He was acting heroically when they attacked him. I saw the video from all the angles, even the pink jacket. He was responding to that woman getting pushed violently by that ICE deranged Gestapo fuck. I'm done calling them officers because they are not officers. They're displaying untrained, drastically untrained, and scared little man boy tactics. Like, when they realized that they couldn't overpower Alex Pretti. I don't really know of his physique. He looks like a big person. Like, he had 4 or 5 guys trying to manhandle him, and they couldn't barely get him down below his hands and knees. And they wanted his face in the concrete because that's just the evil that they have inside of them. That's their intent. And I wanted to talk more about intent too, about this whole thing. But Alex Pretti, being the hero that he is, he was responding to that woman getting violently shoved. And a lot of people came out and said, oh, he was trying to help her. No, he wasn't helping her. He wasn't even facing her. He saw her get shoved, and he immediately went up to that ICE Gestapo fuck and addressed him. He wasn't helping her. Maybe, yeah, he was helping her in the sense of, get the fuck off of her. You're trying to overpower her, no. And getting in his face, which is the proper response. That ICE Gestapo scared man-child shoved that woman for no fucking reason. And as soon as Alex got involved, the pepper spray came out. Bam! Ooh! It's someone I can't handle. You try to shove a woman because you're a scared man-child, and then a man steps up in your face and says, "Fuck you! You're not gonna do that shit in front of me. I don't care who you are or what kind of a fake badge you carry or what your name tape says on your fucking Amazon marketed direct from China chest rig that you call, in your basic blue jeans and your fucking sneakers. Like, they're not officers. These guys aren't trained properly. They lack the training, they lack the mental fortitude and the emotional fortitude to be able to do this kind of stuff. But yet, we give them guns, we give them this fancy name badge and this fake badge of self-worth that makes them think they're powerful. But the only way that they can enact that power is to go out and be bullies to weaker individuals, like the woman that guy shoved. Alex Pretti steps up and says, "Fuck you." He gets pepper sprayed in the face, and then Alex Pretti gets out of that line of attack too fast and doesn't succumb to it. So then more jump on, and they're like, "Oh shit, we gotta attack this guy because now one of us is being challenged in this. Like, they're challenging our authority. We can't have that. It's being questioned. So now they jump on him and they try to get him to the ground. They try to humiliate him. He didn't even have his gun out or anything. I don't even know how they discovered he had a gun or whether they took it from him. It didn't really even look like they took it from him, but supposedly they did, okay? So they must have discovered it, disarmed him, and then they're still struggling. Like, you see the one guy running away from the situation, almost like if there was a gun, that was the guy that grabbed it and got it out of the... He's running away, and Alex Pretti is still on his hands and knees, and they're still struggling with him. And then you see one guy, he goes, man, you know, you can see him assessing the situation. He's looking like he's seeing a losing fight, and he just starts grabbing for his sidearm, and then he's looking for a strategic way to get in there, and that was premeditated murder. That was a fucking execution by untrained, scared man-children, man-boys, who don't know what the fuck to do when the shit gets scary. They were scared. They said, oh shit, we gotta kill this guy or we all might die. Well, maybe they should then in that situation. They're being bullies. They bully a woman and then bully the guy that tries to come in and intervene. No one can stand up to them in their false sense of authority. They need to be challenged. They're not trained on how to handle challenges. They're only trained on how to bully people, how to get instant results, how to get someone to the ground, get them detained, contain the situation. They're not trained how to handle a challenge like someone who wants to step up to them and challenge their right to their actions, their authority. They need to be challenged because otherwise the shit goes unchecked. What's next? A kid getting pepper sprayed in the face? For what? You know, here's another thing. It's coming up on 10 minutes, so I'm not going to get long, and this might carry over into the next one. But this whole peaceful protest thing where they're allowed to sit there with cannons of rubber bullets and tear gas and fucking pepper balls and all that shit that they can fire onto the demonstrators, like, willingly, at will, whenever they feel like it. They're like, oh, that guy said something I don't like. Pepper ball to the face. Oh, that guy, yeah, rubber bullet, rubber bullet, rubber bullet. Oh, that guy doesn't like, so bam, gas canister to the fucking eye and he loses his eye. That's just discretionary. That's fine. They can do that. But we can't bring anything to protest against them the minute we start throwing rocks or anything that might cause them a little bit of damage. You know, they can sit there and damage and be tyrannical fucks and just sit there and bully us, right? The protesters, the peaceful, because we have to be peaceful about it. We can't show any aggression. As soon as we show any aggression, the aggression comes on to us. They're allowed to show aggression, but we're not. We can be out there trying to argue for our rights to assemble peacefully, okay? But the minute it starts getting too loud or they want to start oppressing people for whatever reason, the crowd gets too big, all of a sudden they can open fire, and just because it's less than lethal makes it okay. They can use CS gas, that green shit, pepper balls to the face. A paintball to the face is fucked. And you're calling that okay? No. That's oppression. That's tyranny, and that's bullying. That we should not be standing for. Check me out on the next one. Thanks for checking out this one. And I'll see you there. Until next time, never stop spreading your light. Okay, I'm back. Part 2 or whatever. If you haven't checked it out, check out my first one. I start talking about Alex Pretti and how he was heroic for doing what he did. He stood up for that woman that was getting shoved violently by that scared man-child in DHS. I'm done calling them officers. They're not officers. They're not trained for shit. They're not trained to handle this shit. And they're selecting individuals who are so disillusioned by the system, they're willing to follow any orders with complete disregard and lack of zero empathy for anyone else. That's the criteria that these guys are meant to trying to fill in these positions. So they're very impressionable. They're running a script. They're in the matrix. They're running a program. They're not able to think discerningly and make decisions like a normal police officer would. They're not officers. I'm done calling them officers. They're not fucking officers. Just because they got federal backing and the blessing of a tyrannical dictator and Kristie Noem, whatever the fuck she is, a bird-legged hoe, they're lying to cover their own asses because they're realizing they're losing the fight. They didn't expect this much pushback. They didn't expect things to go the way that they did. Like, obviously, they did not set out with the intent to kill the citizenry. Like, that's not why they were there. They're there to bully and essentially be slave trackers, slave rounder-uppers. The people that... So, the police used to be, like, the way that it worked out is you had the slave catchers, right? The ones that would catch the freed slaves, or not the freed slaves, but the ones that freed themselves. Those eventually became the police. And so now we have they tried to get the police to go after these people. You know what I'm talking about. And they wouldn't. They couldn't. There was laws against it. It was profiling. You can't have police doing it. But yet, now we have a federal agency that is able to do exactly that. Profiling, stop and frisk, or whatever the terminology is for that. All of these things that maybe a decade ago would have been considered illegal for a cop to do, now they're doing it openly, and they don't care. They'll run into your vehicle. They'll fucking arrest you because they T-boned you accidentally. It happened. They T-boned a guy. They weren't even going after the guy. They just ran a stop sign, T-boned him, and instead of like sitting there and owning up for what they did, they just arrest him and take him, like, make it go away that way, and then call it his fault in the end. Like, that is the tyrannical part, is because these guys aren't trained. They haven't gone through the school. Like, a cop is a lawyer with a gun. These guys have to learn law like crazy and be able to recite law and know exactly what they can and can't do, and what the citizenry can and can't do, and what they need to respond to appropriately. They're lawyers with guns. These guys, ICE, DHS, these fucking Gestapo fucks, are not... They know nothing about what's right and wrong, what they can and can't do. All they know is what Kristie Noem tells them, what Greg Bovino tells them. So they don't know how to handle a situation properly. So when it gets hairy and scary, they start shooting. They need to be given wooden guns. Like, these guys, It's scary. And wouldn't you wouldn't you just go figure, the supreme narcissist in charge of this country right now would send out a bunch of armed psychopaths to go and bully Not necessarily the citizenry, even though it is happening to citizens. They're trying to round up the illegals that came into our open borders. And now, I'm not going to get into the politics about that, because we are the only country that has had wide open borders. They could just, anyone from around the world, come on in. Terrorists, a country that, spies, anything you want, come on in. All down there, on the banks of the Rio Grande, they were finding Qurans, they're finding all kinds of stuff. Come on in. That threatens national security. That's about as political as I'm going to get, because rounding them up, the argument can be made, no one's illegal on stolen land. Okay, we're still trying to have a country here. Like, you could argue that taxation is theft and all these things that, there's so many different schools of thought all culminating into this melting pot of ideas that we're calling America now. The old America is the capitalist, up by your bootstraps, contribute to the system, and the system will use you as long as it can and then discard you. That's the traditional way of things. You're not owed anything. You owe it to dedicate yourselves in your life to doing the best job possible, and then as soon as you're too old to do it anymore, you're just discarded and moved on to the next. That's the capitalist model. But what we're starting to move to is this, embracing universal health care, universal education, and more of an open policy, which I'm a fan of. Like, I like the open policies. I don't know how we could have the funding for all of that if people aren't tracked in the traditional sense and paying the taxes that we are in order to fund that stuff. Like, where does the money actually come from then? If we're not tracked individually, like, who's paying for it? You could say, okay, the billionaires, right? We don't want any more billionaires. So let's dissolve that money and spread it evenly. Like, that'll fund a lot of what we're talking about. Like, the top 0.01% that own 99% of America, like the top echelon of people, their wealth could fund everything for everyone. And it would be evenly spread, equality, right? So we could have that as long as we don't provide incentive for a hoarding of goods and resources to be advantageous for someone to desire to have more than someone else. Right? We all need to be kind of on the same level. And if we want to have it where all the borders are open, we are all children of this earth, and everyone gets fair treatment and everything is spread evenly, and your contribution, my contribution, your contribution, sort of, we're all contributing, and therefore we're all entitled to the same, benefits. And that's a way bigger conversation. But closing down the borders for now, though, before we have something like that enacted, like, we need to kind of get the framework for that. They're trying to round up the people that came in illegally. And how do you do that without profiling? That's a real question. Like, how do you not go up to every brown person that you see and say, hey, what the fuck? All right, catch me in the next one. Thanks for checking out this one. I love you. Never stop spreading your light. So how do you, welcome back, how do you get people rounded up without profiling? That's what they're doing. That's what ICE is doing, DHS. They're just going around and looking for people who look like they might not be a citizen and asking for their papers. How the fuck is that any different from the Gestapo? It's something that the cops could never do. They asked them to. They tried to get them to do it, but it was stop and frisk or stop and something. Like 10 years ago, it was something that they tried to do, and then they said, no, that's profiling, and then they got it shut down. Well, now we have it 2.0 with ICE and DHS, who I refuse to call officers. These are not officers. These are untrained man-children who are scared and should not have access to a trigger, but they got their fingers on the trigger, which is also improper training. But they lack the training and the emotional regulation. That's the word I was looking for in the first one. The emotional regulation and mental fortitude to be able to do the job that they're doing. Because if they had any ability to discern and make decisions and make quality, look at the situation and be able to see what should be done, where's the truth in this, like a cop can't. A police officer is trained and goes through the training. Well, most of them. Some of them are just veterans who come back and need a job, and they get into the thing and they just decide to, bring the military into our city, whatever. But they at least have to go through years of training, right? Essentially, I believe it's an associate degree at least level, if not bachelor's, I don't know. But they're lawyers with guns. And these ICE fucks, these Gestapo motherfuckers, are nowhere near that. I heard something like 47 days of training, if that. Really, if that. These guys they're fat. They're like, no, they're not lifelong officers. They're not officers. Just because you call someone an officer doesn't make them an officer. They did not go through the training. They do not have the physique. They don't have the physical training. Obviously, 5 of them couldn't take down Alex Pretti. They couldn't. They wanted to make an example of him because he stood up to them. Alex Pretti was being heroic. They tried to shove that woman. Alex Pretti said, whoa, what the fuck? Stepped up to the guy in his face, immediately got pepper sprayed, and then Alex Pretti didn't fall to that. 2 or 3 more jump on, and they try to manhandle him. But they're weak individuals. They're overweight. They're probably drinking monsters. They're products of the system. They're in the matrix. They're very disillusioned. They're sleeping fucking sheep. They're scared man-children with guns and a directive from a tyrannical dictator and his minions, like Stephen Miller and Kristie Noem as a bird-legged hoe. That's where they're getting their direction from. They're not... They're oh yeah, and Vance too. Mr. Eyeliner. Is telling them they have immunity against any kind of inquisition into their actions. So whatever they do is law. Like, they got a license to kill. That's the way they look at it. They can sit there with their fucking guns. They're allowed to fire pepper balls directly into our faces. A paintball into your fucking face, into your eye area. Much less your eye. Rubber bullets. Gas. Tear gas canisters that have caused the guy to lose his eye. They can do all that at their own discretion. People who have 47 days of training. They're untrained. They have the emotional regulation of a fucking toddler. And you're giving them guns and a purpose. And telling them they have immunity. Telling them that they are the law. You just allowed a gang of psychopaths, armed psychopaths, to run the streets, collecting people and disappearing them. Proves that you have no concern for your citizenry. All you're concerned about is your objective. You don't care about us. You'll let anything happen. Just make it not look bad on you. If anything, the one behind the trigger should be getting the ultimate punishment. But they're even told that they're immune. So where is the accountability? So what I want to do is start tracing the intention. Because obviously they're not trying to kill us by executing us in the street. If they were doing it, we would see them doing it a lot more than what is happening. What's happening is a product of exactly what we talked about. Untrained, scared man children with guns. That's why we're seeing the killings happening in the streets. They don't have the emotional regulation and the mental fortitude to be able to do the job that they're doing. They're not officers. They're scared man children. The intention is to catalog everyone that's on this land, in these borders. They want everyone accounted for. They know that when they do a census, they're only getting the people who have social security numbers who were born here and the ones who maybe came in the official way. They have no idea about the ones who are undocumented and illegal here. And that drives them nuts. And whatever is about to fall, this is all leading up to something big. Something is about to happen. They want everyone documented. Like, they want every single last person to be at least known and documented. That way, when they implement it, they know who they're coming after and they know where to find them. So, whatever is about to happen, whether it's, there's a lot of different theories on what's about to happen, but I mean, the Great Reset, the Big Purge, it could be a world war where they got to close the borders and institute some sort of a tracking system. It could be Big Brother, 1984, where we're all just being monitored by an AI system that's telling us how to live and what to do and stuff. It could be all of that that's about to happen. But either way, they need us all documented and cataloged and filed so that they can track and they know. So whatever is about to drop, this is all preparation for that. And it seems like there's a tremendous push, like they're behind schedule. Like, this should have happened 5 years ago during COVID, but we had the wrong president. The wrong president got in, and it got upset. Like, it got disrupted. The first term of Trump was supposed to lead into the second term of Trump, where all this was supposed to go down. But because it got interrupted, regimes changed, they lost control over it, and it became what it did. I'm going to end this one now. Thanks for checking it out, and check out the ones to follow this, and I'll see you there. Until then, never stop spreading your light. I love you.